What is up, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
And I am Ryan, Week Zero Productions Fravel.
And I'm Will ND Clow.
And this is the voice of college football, Notre Dame. We are live with you guys right now, right after a great Notre Dame victory today. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame 56, the Tennessee State Tigers 3. Now, let's just to just jump right in here. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The first quarter was a little worrying at some point. Wouldn't you guys say so?
I about had a stroke that first quarter.
Yeah, I was getting some BK PTSD from 2011 and some from
No, I was getting Marshall PTSD and Stanford PTSD in that first quarter. With the exception of the offense, because the offense did what they were supposed to. The defense, I don't know what they were doing the first couple of drives, but
yeah, too many missed tackles for my liking. So that's what worried me the most was that, because I'm not trying to trash talk Tennessee State, because you got to remember their coaches and their players are working just as hard as anybody else. But let's be real here. When you're playing an FCS opponent, you don't want to see missed tackles. You don't want to see basic plays that should be made that get missed. Mm-hmm. So that's what was troubling me for the most part.
Yeah, I remember Marcus saying that they saw some things that they weren't expecting to see, and then they were able to adjust and get it together. But still, we're playing an FCS opponent. But I want Hammer to nail as fast as possible.
Right, of course. I mean, you don't like to see any kind of struggle against an FCS opponent, but thankfully during the course of the game that wasn't the case. Things got a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I thought we played outstanding. I think I was really happy to see Stephen Jelly get some run. That pass that he did, on the move, hitting Jadarian Price for a touchdown. Can I call that Patrick Mahomes-esque from good old Stephen Jelly?
Yes,
that was a pretty impressive play. Steve, for a guy that doesn't have too much experience. Now, I'm take it with a grain of salt because it is against Tennessee State, but he looked very poised out there, and he didn't look shaken at all, or the moment was too big.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's against an FCS or just a regular top-tier opponent. I mean, the fact is Stephen Jelly has not seen a lot of time on the field, and it's just good to see him get his feet wet somewhere with some significant playing time. Yeah. And I think this was definitely the, just the perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah. My only gripe, along with the first couple series, was that targeting call on Antonio Carter.
Oh, that was
what the heck was that? What the heck was that? Okay, do you guys remember the Clemson game from last year? And there was a blatant Clemson targeting. It looked like textbook targeting.
When Clemson. Pine got absolutely yeah.
And that wasn't targeting, but that was. I just want the refs to be consistent. Please just be consistent.
Dude, even the guy who I don't even know the guy's name. They didn't have Michael Pereira on for some reason for today's game, but whoever it was in the booth said that's not a targeting foul. He hit him with the shoulder. And especially if you think about the few series before that, and Devin Ford got absolutely rocked, and that wasn't targeting. If that's not targeting, then the second one sure as hell is not targeting.
Well, that targeting call, he hit him with his shoulder. It wasn't even helmet to helmet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what? Didn't Devin Ford get knocked out?
Yeah,
he got. I mean,
I thought that was more targeting than the one that was actually called. Mm-hmm. I just hate that penalty in general. Not just because it goes against us and has gone against us. I just hate it because look, we get it. Head injuries, they're a big thing in the game now. They're the one of the biggest things that everybody wants to prevent. I get that. I'm not arguing that, but as long as these players get taken care of, they're taken out of the game, they're treated properly, then the targeting penalty isn't necessary. It's ridiculous because it's gotten way out of hand at different times, and it just needs to be done away with. I'm getting sick of it. And I even say that for our opponents too. I mean, yeah, at times when it's been called against our opponents, as a fan watching the game, I'll take it. Doesn't mean I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I don't like that play that was on Pine last year that, Will brought up. That's what that penalty is made for, because that Clemson defender was headhunting. Like, that was pretty evident. It just wasn't. Pine also got hit a ton of times that should have been targeting, and it wasn't. You guys remember the what was it? What game was it where Angeli came in and they just handed the ball to Mitchell Evans?
Syracuse?
Was it Syracuse?
I believe it was.
Yeah, Syracuse. And they didn't call that targeting either. But yeah, I mean, I it's weird to think about that. We're coming from an age where just maybe 5 years ago, we still were watching those big hits on YouTube that we're targeting, but we still watched it because we loved the hits and the physicality of the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Notre Dame fan, I didn't like to see Devin Ford, get injured like that. But man, the hit was just it. That was a brutal hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just football, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just football.
Yeah, I mean, these guys know what they signed up for. They know what's going to happen. So it's a physical game. It's, you're going to war out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sorry, but this isn't flag football. Guys you're gonna get hit. It's part of the game. So with that said, let's go over the stats for today's game. So of course, Sam Hartman, back-to-back impressive weeks, 14 of 17, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I think it was only fitting that he got pulled after the first half.
In that last drive of the first half was a thing of beauty. Like, it was just dime after dime. Like, that was like a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning drive to just win a game. That's what it felt like at the end of that half. Like, every half was right on the money.
Yeah, they moved down the field like nothing other. And again, to anybody who's watching right now, we know it's an FCS opponent, and I'm sure that probably won't stop anybody else from bringing it up who tunes in later on as the show progresses. But this is what, just like Navy last week, there were so many people, even in our own fan base, telling us, "Oh, calm down, people, calm down. It's just Navy. It's just Navy." Well, no, we're not going to calm down, because we're happy to see our players perform well no matter who it's against. And of course, we know that there's tougher competition coming. We're not stupid, but you can be happy after a great performance by your team, especially when they do well. I mean,
look at the team down in LA that plays in somewhere called the Coliseum. They struggled with San Jose State, and right now they're tied with Nevada. So we should be able to celebrate our team winning while the fans of a rival team are telling us that we're just playing a team. Well, our rival team is struggling with a team at the same tier. So
what about the Ohio State Buckeyes that we face in just 3 weeks? That, if anything, we have more questions about that team than we did coming into the season, which, if you're an Ohio State fan, that's not what you were looking for against Indiana, who might be up there with Rutgers for one of the worst teams in college football this year.
Up with them in Northwestern, man.
Yeah, I mean, if Indiana had even an under a little below average offense, Indiana probably wins that game.
Now, last time I saw, the score was 13-3. How'd that turn out?
Indiana just could not do anything offensively.
I believe it was 23-3
is the score. Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks more dominant than what it actually was.
Okay, so we got a happy Notre Dame fan here saying, no, he played bad, just poor defense.
It's about
by
Steve.
opponents.
He said that right after we talked about Steve.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still got to make the play. How, I mean, if you do something well enough to throw a defense off, why does that mean bad defense? I mean, I thought Steve made a heck of a play to get it out. What does it matter how the defense is? He could have easily thrown that.
Steve played bad. He had he was was it like 9 for 11, 2 touchdowns?
Oh, I got the stats pulled up right here. Stephen Jelly was 8 of 11 for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so that was close. Hey, that's better. He has a better QBR than Graham Mertz. So yeah, I know that's a low bar.
my nephew had that game on today. Who's
Colorado and TCU?
TCU, yeah.
Yeah, Graham Mertz plays for
Florida. Yeah.
Florida. Okay.
Dude.
But I just don't get what the problem is.
I feel like he played better than he did against us, but his O-line just was bad.
Yeah.
Well, see, and the thing is, like, actually, like, if you look at the box score, like, it looks like Mertz had an okay game. But if you watch the game, Mertz played really bad.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, the O-line did not help him, but
No.
he's not good enough to overcome the bad O-line.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Cohn was honestly, I like people, Notre Dame fans, oh, he did good for us. Jack Cohn was not the best quarterback, but he's better than Graham Mertz.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, Graham Mertz might be up there with Spencer Petras for the worst quarterback in college football.
So Contrarian here says, great win, so happy. Now WWE pay. What do we got to pay back the WWE for?
I think that's an event that WWE is hosting, and I'm assuming he's going to watch that now.
Yeah.
I know this person probably meant to say we, but yeah, go Irish, beat everybody. Absolutely.
Now, while we're talking about this, because there's not too much to talk about from this game. Tennessee State didn't do too much offensively, like we talked about before. The only real criticisms you can give Notre Dame is the defense coming out slow the first 2 series.
Missing tackles.
Surprised again that we didn't see Tobias Merriweather get more involved in the offense, for being the number 2 guy. He's kind of been quiet the first 2 weeks.
He at least had, I will say this, he at least had 2 catches this game. He was 2 catches for 5 yards. So I guess that he's actually being looked for. I'll call that a step in the right direction, even though it's not saying much.
Are you guys worried about that at all going forward? I mean, because Merriweather's played against Navy and Tennessee State.
These 2 games, I expected to see a lot more of him, and we're still not seeing him. But I guess you can't put too much into that, because you got guys like Jaden Thomas and Jaden Greathouse who are playing so well, and Deion Colsey, who's been stepping up big time.
Yeah, Deion Colsey was quiet today too. It was kind of weird.
I thought he had a touchdown catch.
Did he?
I don't remember that, but he maybe did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm thinking of Holden Stays.
Yeah, Holden Stays did. Holden Stays.
Yeah, the 4 touchdown passes between both Sam Hartman and Jelly. Jadarian Price had one. Jabron Payne had one. Chris Tyree, and then Holden Stays.
Mm-hmm.
So I take that back.
I mean, do we think this with Tobias, because the hype surrounding him this year was it reminds me a lot of Lorenzo Styles hype from last year.
Well, the thing is about Tobias is he's the highest rated receiver recruit since Michael Floyd. I think that's where the hype's coming from.
But do we see the same situation playing out with him as we did with Lorenzo?
I hope not.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm backing that kid all the way, and I mean, I've even talked to his dad, because his dad follows Ben and I on Twitter, and I've had a little conversation with him, and I told him, hey, want you to know, his name's Dom. I said, hey, Dom, just want to let you know, Ben and I, and of course you guys too, we have Tobias's back, and we hope he succeeds, and I just hope he can get it going this year, because so far there hasn't been only 2 catches for 5 yards in the whole season so far. And
Jaden Greathouse is amazing. Jaden Greathouse has played amazing. Well, he was kind of quiet today's game, which that's mainly due to, which is kind of odd. Marcus Freeman, I don't know if you guys noticed, he switched up the starting lineup quite a bit. Mm-hmm. He had Jaden Thomas out there, but did not start Jaden Greathouse. He started Rico Flores instead, which I found kind of interesting. It seemed like from the beginning, Marcus Freeman and the coaching staff looked at this game as like, well, we're not going to play our normal starters. We're going to get some young guys in, switch it up a little bit, see what they've got. I didn't like that at first, because I mean, you kind of got that against Navy. I know Tennessee State, you're not expecting it to be competitive, but in my opinion, you play everyone that you started the week before, no matter who the opponent is, until that game gets out of hand. And then you can maybe put those guys in.
Well, and I think that's just showing the difference between Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, overall, he didn't like playing the young guys. Marcus Freeman, he's saying that, hey, I'm willing to play anybody who can contribute.
But do you like the idea of benching Jaden Greathouse to start the game for Rico Flores just because you want to see what Rico Flores can do against Tennessee State?
I think this was, if you were going to do that, I think that this was the game to do that. Obviously, you're not going to do it against NC State next week or Central Michigan or even Ohio State when they get here. But this was the one game where I think you can afford to do that. Now, overall, do I like doing that? No, but I can understand if Coach Freeman decided like, hey, I want to see what this kid can do. I recruited him, raw talent or not. Let's see what he can do. So I think that's what Coach Freeman probably had in mind.
I mean, he didn't have a bad game. I mean, he had. If I can, he had 31 yards. So I mean, that was
one catch, 2 catches for
two catches. Yeah.
Yep. It looked like the ball was pretty well spread out through everyone who had a reception.
Jeremiah Love looks like the next running back. Like that kid, it's odd because his body type is the only one in the room that's not like that, truck.
Like the Hulk, basically has like an incredible.
He's slim, fit, but man, can that kid move? That play, that first touchdown where he absolutely juked that Tennessee State guy out of his soul and sent his soul into another Tennessee State player's body. I mean,
that was impressive. I don't care who the opponent is. That was impressive.
He just looks different. Like even against Navy. Does he not just look like a different, even Audric Estime is great, but Jeremiah Love there's something different. Dare I say Josh Adams-esque, like Heisman candidacy.
I think it's because he's not the same kind of build. He's a different kind of running back than say Audric Estime and Jabron Payne and Jadarian Price. Those guys are more of like power backs. I mean, they can move, they're fast, but I think it's just Jeremiah Love is more of the athletic speedster, if you will.
Yeah,
I mean, if that makes sense, I think that's what it is.
But yeah, overall, it's a great game by Notre Dame. Did what they were supposed to, took care of business. We avoided another Marshall, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, well, we have Central Michigan. We have
Whoa, don't don't get me started, Will. We don't need to be talking about MAC opponents right now. No, man, seriously, I'm just happy for once that we blew out a team for the second straight week in a row that we were supposed to blow out.
Mm-hmm.
And through 2 games, no allowed touchdowns.
Yeah, no touchdowns. Our defense has more points total that they've scored than our opponents. Now, that'll probably change against NC State, but after watching North Carolina State a couple nights ago against UConn, I feel pretty confident.
Yeah. Don't get of course, the last thing you want to do as a fan is get overconfident.
Oh, I'm not overconfident.
But,
it's at NC State, but NC State did not look good.
They gave up 6.2 yards a carry to UConn's running backs.
Yeah, that's
not good. Look at our running backs and UConn's running backs. I think we have better running backs than UConn.
UConn, they had a guy take off that looked like he was running in slow motion for like a 70-yard touchdown run.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
I got to go back and watch the highlights to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, no, UConn honestly probably should have won that game. Yeah. They just shot themselves in the foot over and over again. But I wanted to ask you guys this, and I don't know if Mark's still tuning in, but like I said, looking ahead, we got NC State, Central Michigan, Ohio State. We've got a chance to see all 3 of our next 3 opponents. Central Michigan last night, North Carolina State Thursday, and Ohio State today. After watching Notre Dame's performance the last 2 weeks, And I'm sure you guys all tuned into those games as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I could, anyway.
How do you guys? I mean, are you guys more confident going into that North Carolina State Ohio State game than you were, even say, 4 hours ago?
I'm very confident going into those games. They're opponents that we should be expected to beat. Of course, you go in with the approach of never taking an opponent lightly. You treat, and I've been saying this for years, you treat every opponent like you're playing the number one team in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get overconfident and you get too lax, that's where it comes back to bite you in the butt. I mean, we saw that a couple times last year. We've seen it a few times before that. So I think we're finally tuning into realizing that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like today, just because Tennessee State is an FCS opponent, Notre Dame came in, and despite the little struggle at the start of the game, they figured out, like, okay, let's put the gas on these guys and put them away. That's what we're supposed to do. So, yeah, coming into the NC State Wolfpack and the Central Michigan Chippewas, I'm feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, our running backs don't mess around, man. I just don't think they can stop our running backs and our quarterback too. So, yeah, I think our offense is pretty tough to stop. I still have some question marks about the defense, but I'm feeling extremely confident that we're going to win our next two games.
And also the fact that, people say last week, and this, of course, they'll say it this week, oh, Notre Dame, you played at Navy. Oh, Ohio State fans mainly saying, remember last week I said Ohio State fans said their fourth string quarterback could throw 4 touchdown passes against Navy in their sleep. Well, you had 2 quarterbacks play for you, Ohio State, and neither one of them could get a combination of 4 touchdowns against Indiana, who might be on the same level as Navy. So, I mean, we get bashed for blowing out Navy. But people will say, oh, Ohio State, they're working in a new quarterback. They're on the road, and it's the Big Ten. Wait, hold on. Mark, if you don't believe me, go to the comments on Hayes Fawcett post of last week for week 0. Read those comments, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But, man, like, we talk about it all the time, Sean. Notre Dame is held to
Ryan,
a different standard.
you're gonna bring the fire down on us.
I am, dude. Notre Dame is held to a different standard, man, and we know this. We know this.
Ryan, you're saying what I want to say, but I'm always too nervous. You're reminding me of another Notre Dame YouTuber, man. You say what I want.
Hey, real quick, this is off the subject, but speaking of other Notre Dame YouTubers, all of you guys did make sure to go to the bathroom before we sat down to film, right?
Yes.
Or sat down to go live?
Yep.
And please tell me you know what I'm talking about.
Wait, what?
You guys didn't see on another show.
Yes. Oh, what's his name? Oh God. Why am I blanking? Vince.
Well, I don't want to.
Strapped his pants.
Vince did. No.
Yes.
No.
You guys. I was saying. I hope you guys
it.
saw that was. He crap. Yeah, I forget what show it was on, but it was with what's his face, Driscoll.
Brian.
Yeah, this guy was on the show with Brian Driscoll, and he crapped his pants in the middle of a show.
No.
Both Mike Golick and Mike Golick Jr. were talking about it on their show.
Oh man,
dude, that tweet had like 11 million views on Twitter. It blew up. I think it even went on like.
I mean, I've met both Brian and Vince, so I kind of feel bad for them. But it's fine.
But
yeah, I know you guys. As long as you guys went to the bathroom before we sat down to go live here, we're cool. Otherwise, it'd be like
20 minutes before we started.
Last comment on the Ohio State stuff for Mark. But just all I'm asking for is if Notre Dame's going to get crapped on for blowing out a bad Navy team, then Ohio State should get crapped on for not blowing out a bad Indiana team. Like we gotta hold it to the same standard. That's all I'm asking. Well, both fan bases, Mark. Both Notre Dame and Ohio State have delusional fans. I'll be the first to say that.
There's this guy like always goes in the Voice of College Football chats. Is always saying that.
Let me just read this. You need to check your own fan base. I've seldom seen the delusion ever than what I've seen recently from ND fans. You know, I gotta say this though. There's a part of me that agrees with him because there's a what you call it, a group on Facebook, a Notre Dame Facebook group that I help run, that I'm an administrator on there. And we've got some fans that see, Ryan, you know this as well as I do.
Mm.
But Will, you are just getting to know me. But myself, I really don't care what Notre Dame haters or non-Notre Dame fans have to say. But it's the ones in our own fan base that do the crapping on. That's what I truly have a problem with.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fans in our fan base where it's like nothing's ever good enough. I mean, we had some people complaining after we beat Navy last week, and I'm sure there's people complaining today too.
No, like it's all over Twitter. It's just Notre Dame fans complaining about playing Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's what
I wasn't a fan of playing this team either, but you know what? It's a Notre Dame game. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason this game was played is because Marcus Freeman is good friends with Eddie George. Eddie George.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah.
That's the only reason this game was played, is because they have a relationship together. The story goes that Eddie George messaged Marcus Freeman, was like, hey, like, we'd love to come to South Bend. Notre Dame needed an opponent. There you go. That's how that happened. So
and it's like, all right, bro, the game's scheduled. Let's bro hug it out here.
No fan bases are worse than others, but I'm saying, like, Mark, if you don't think their Ohio State fans are delusional.
I know Mark, you're talking about that one Notre Dame guy. I can't even.
Yeah. Dude.
What's that guy's name? That's always in the chats.
Dude, so real quick, I don't know if you guys know who Buckeye Garrison is. He's a very popular Ohio State YouTuber. And so I'm actually good friends with him. This dude was watching Ohio State, Indiana, put out his halftime thoughts, and he said, bro, I'm not worried. Kyle McCoy. I'm like, you are absolutely out of your mind if you are sitting here. And he said, we're still going to go 12-0. We're going to beat Notre Dame. We're going to beat Michigan. I'm like, you are up 10-3 on Indiana at halftime, sir. Like, I can't. If Notre Dame was playing Indiana and we were up 10-3 and I had Marvin Harrison as my number one receiver, I'm worried. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, dude, I'm not worried. Our quarterback situation's fine. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, yeah, Ohio State fans do have a reason to be arrogant.
They've done more recently than we have. That's black.
They are. Right, they do take the cake for some of the most delusional fans. Like, so how I put in, like, the delusional, like the most delusional, is you put Notre Dame, Michigan. Yeah, Michigan, Ohio State. Not really Bama, because they kind of aren't delusional. They just kind of expect it because they can expect it. Georgia fans, no. LSU fans are delusional. Yeah, LSU fans are very delusional. But yeah, so yeah, LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, that's probably the most delusional you're going to get in college football. From, like, the realistic takes all the way to, you know, we're playing, we almost lost to Auburn at home, but guess what? We should be a top 5 team. That like, come on, man. I'm all for being like, but I'm also, Sean can attest to this. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and but I'm also a realist. Like, how many times, Sean, last year did I say that Notre Dame was not going to win a game because I was trying to be realistic? Like that Clemson game, I think we did our picks, and I was the only one that picked Clemson to win that game. Like, I don't.
That word realist. I really don't want to go on a rant, but I guess the rant could get us some mega views because it has in the past. But I still hear that all the time, and I'm not saying you're approaching it like that, Ryan. But it's just we have so many fans in our fan base that use the word realist, and never in my life in the past 3 or 4 years have I heard the word realist so much in my life. Like, we make the playoffs against Alabama back in the 2020-2021 season. And people are like, oh, we're not going to win this game because I'm a realist. 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 Which realist is just a way of saying I have no confidence in my team. I don't believe they can
No,
win.
no, Sean, I didn't have confidence.
I didn't say you were that. I didn't say you were that at all. I'm talking about like
okay. No, I wouldn't say I'm a realist. I'm unbiased. Is that
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not like in my head. Notre Dame's going to go 12-0 every year, win the national championship, obviously, because that's what I want. But as like an analyst, I kind of learned to be unbiased because I want to be fair because at that point Notre Dame had just lost to Stanford. So I'm like,
boy, you are a good politician. I had to say it. Because it was funny. It worked.
Oh,
you're right. I see where you're coming from.
I'm the one that gets Mark riled up every week.
Well, it's only 2. We're only 2 games in.
Exactly.
There's 10 games to go. Let's see.
By the way, we need to get Mark on. Mark, if you're still watching, man, we need you on for the Ohio State preview.
Oh, I put
because we got to go through this.
Yeah, we got to get Mark and Dr. Buckeye on for sure.
Yes.
Now, Mark, Notre Dame doesn't have as many high round draft picks as Ohio State, but Notre Dame still ended up in the Brian Kelly era, did pass USC for most draft picks.
Actually, real quick, I don't know if you guys know this, but because he talks about the last 20, 25 years, the last 12 years, I think 13 now, Notre Dame has more double-digit wins seasons. Or no, not double-digit. More double-digit win seasons than anyone else in college football besides Alabama and Clemson, I believe. And I think Ohio State's up there too. So if you're talking about teams that have been elite recently, Notre Dame has been one of the top 4 to 5 best teams in college football consistently. With the exception of 2016 and last year when we went 9-4. But yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. Of course, the only thing that sucks is no major bowl wins or national championships came out of that, and we get that.
I don't really care about New Year's Six bowls, man. It's to me now, especially with the playoff expanding, New Year's Six bowls are not as important. They're less important than they have ever been in the world of college football.
Well,
it's more of a participation trophy, if anything.
Well, I at least like it that they're going to use those bowl games for the
I like that. But I mean, to bash Notre Dame because, they haven't won a New Year's Six since but
94.
They made the playoff twice. That's 2 times more times than a lot of schools. So, I mean, how many teams can say they've been to the CFP 2 times or more? Not very many.
It's true. And I like how people give us crap for, our appearances in the playoffs, but yet Oklahoma's lost all 4 appearances that they've had, and nobody talks about that. But for some reason, we're the ones that don't belong, according to morons like Paul Feinbaum.
Dude, and people say Notre Dame's overrated every year. With the exception of last season in 2016, Notre Dame has finished ranked higher than where they started the season every other year. The last 13 seasons.
I mean,
that's overrated, right? That's overrated, Sean.
Yeah, I know, right? It's the thing is that's just it. We are better where we once were than under the 15-year down period, as I call it, when the mess of Davey, Willingham, and White.
And that's why, I don't know if you do you follow Josh Pate, Sean?
Who?
Josh Pate. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no.
The name rings a bell. Yes.
Josh Pate in a while, but I know who he is.
He's one of the big, media.
He's actually. I think he covers Notre Dame kind of fairly.
He's very fair in the middle. He's not like one of those guys that moves the goalpost for Notre Dame. And he did a video actually yesterday, the top 10 myths in college football every year, and one of them he did was Notre Dame is overrated every year. And he said, man, he's like, trust me, I get on Notre Dame all the time. But he said, if you're one of those people if you're one of those low-level casual college football fans that tweet out Notre Dame's overrated every year, then you just don't know the sport. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like that because that's why he gets a lot of respect because he's not an SEC guy. He's not a Big Ten guy. I don't even think Josh Pate is really a fan of one particular team. He just loves college football, and he's very unbiased about his approach.
And what website is he a part of?
247.
247. Okay, 24/7. I got you.
So yeah.
Well,
go watch his stuff, man. Go watch his stuff. It's really good. It's good content.
Me and Mark argued about the 2012 season on which team was better, Notre Dame or Ohio State. It was fun. That was fun.
What was Ohio State's record that year?
They went they were on probation, but they went 11-0, 12-0.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Guys, something tells me that when Ohio State week gets here, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, Mark. Honestly, Mark might kick us off the channel when Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Oh, don't do that. Don't give him any ideas.
I lived through the Michigan. He's lived through the Michigan loss.
We've been on here for what's it been, like a couple months now, I think, doing different things. I'm enjoying it, so don't ruin it for us, please.
Oh man, no, I won't.
But, it's gonna be a lot of fun though, for sure.
And real quick, Sean, I do have to hop off.
Yeah,
but I'll leave you guys with this nugget. Notre Dame should be ranked inside the top 10 next week.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I doubt it.
They probably won't be, but I think they should.
Won't.
I could see them maybe being 11, possibly. But if they're in the top 10, then
just based on how other teams inside the top 10 have played, USC.
I guess I'm just going off the fact that it's not a fair world when it comes to that. I don't know.
But all right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off and have a great rest of the show.
See you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. It's always a blast to have you. All right, Will. So that's just the two of us. Hopefully, Ben is able to make it. But if not, we can take this bad boy home. Just to let everybody know who's watching, when it comes to, and I'm not trying to look past the two games in front, but Ben and I will be together on one thing here, on one screen for the Ohio State game. I will be watching the game with him down where he lives, and can't wait for that.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, it's always a blast. We've actually been to 2 games in person, and it's funny. One of them was extremely hot. The second one was extremely cold because the first one was 2021 against Purdue, and you could actually see the sweat coming through my jersey because it was 96, 97 degrees.
Oh wow!
And then last year we were at the BC game where it was a blizzard.
The Snow Bowl.
Well, we're looking to go back to Wake Forest in November, so I hope it happens again because that was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, I bet it was fun. That was a fun game.
All right, so let's go back to talking about today's game. I know we kind of got off topic there, but let's talk about the running game in particular. Now, of course, leading the way was Audric Estime, and his numbers were 13 carries for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. But Jeremiah Love, we'd started talking about him earlier. He could definitely be something special in this running back room going forward because he had 46 yards on 5 carries, 1 touchdown. But when you look at both of these guys in particular, Estime had 8.99 yards a carry. Jeremiah Love had 9.2. And both of these guys, let's see the not so much Audric Estime. I guess neither one of them really did have a great day receiving receiving receptions. But just looking at those yards per carry, each of them had a touchdown. The FCS team or not, that's still pretty impressive. Because there's guys that do play against FCS teams and they're not able to do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just, and Jeremiah Love is only a freshman. That's what makes me excited. Like, we're gonna have him for 2 more years after this, and he might break the rushing record at Notre Dame. Like, he looks that good. Like, there's a reason that he was our highest ranked recruit from the last cycle.
Well, the fact that he's been looking good so far, and knowing that there's still room for him to grow. I mean, what's not, when it comes to that, what's not to slobber over? I mean, but it's not just him. I mean, he's a freshman, but just how loaded this running back room is. I mean, they all look good. Not all of them have the sexiest numbers. Like, I mean, Jabron Payne, he only had 27 yards on 6 carries, but that's still good for a 4.5 yards per carry average. I mean, that's pretty good. And then you got some of these guys like, Jabron Payne. Jabron Payne. Sorry, I was getting off track.
He caught a touchdown pass.
Yeah. He was able to contribute in the passing game, 45 yards on 2 catches. Same with Jadarian Price. Now, Jadarian Price in the running game, he had where's his numbers at? 5 yards on 2 carries. Okay, that's not very good. But in the passing game, 2 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown. So maybe that's too much that I'm reading into here. But what I'm saying is there's some area where all these guys can contribute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm so happy we got Dylan McCullough to coach these guys up, man. This guy won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He's just a stud. And one thing I have to say about our old pal Tommy Rees, Jeremiah Love would not be seeing the field until maybe the Wake Forest game because he does not like playing freshmen. And that's what makes me so happy about Jared Parker. He's willing to put these guys. Yeah, they might make a mistake, but they're super talented guys.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because even though it was kind of difficult for me last week since I was on my phone and I'm in Ireland outside of a loud pub, which I definitely like doing it this way a lot better, of course. But what's also great about that is even when they do make a mistake, what I also like is that Marcus Freeman holds them accountable.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because we talked about this last week. Audric Estime, he fumbles the ball and he's pretty much out for the rest of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
But when he comes back though, he doesn't let that get to him. He's like, okay, I made a mistake. I'm going to come back from this, and he ended up having a pretty damn good game against Navy.
That reminds me of Steve Berline's last game against USC, and Lou Holtz pulled him out, and then he gave him a little pep talk, came back in, helped win the team the game. So I love seeing that comparison between Marcus and Lou. I'm not saying Marcus will be as good as Lou Holtz, but I'm hoping he will.
Well, but that's not a bad or irrelevant comparison though, because I think so far through 16 games in Marcus Freeman's tenure as head coach at Notre Dame. And I've said this before, he's proving to be the best balance that a head coach needs to have. And that's he is a disciplinarian, but he's also a player's coach too. Mm-hmm. He knows how to talk to these guys. He knows how to build them up, but he also knows how to put his foot down and say, hey, listen, it needs to be done this way. You're screwing up and you have to pay the price for it. Mm-hmm. And if that means sitting on the bench for a quarter and a half, then so be it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like seeing out of him.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I love how the tight ends finally got involved. Like that was one of our biggest complaints about the last game with the tight end.
Oh, yes.
I don't think they didn't get a single catch, and we got to see the Mitchell Evans that we saw in the Gator Bowl, which makes me excited to see the future of his career at Notre Dame.
Yeah, 61 yards on 4 catches. And it was phenomenal. And not just that, but him and Holden Stays both, even though Holden Stays, he only had 1 catch for 4 yards. But when you go back, and not everybody does this, but when you go back and you watch the replays and whatnot, this is the stuff that people aren't going to pay attention to, but it's all the difference in what leads to points. The downfield blocking. And you could even say this about someone like a Tobias Merriweather or any of the other receivers that may not exactly have had a great day catching the ball. But that downfield blocking, I mean, no, you're probably not going to get a lot of credit for it when it comes to the articles and stuff. But if you're not there to block, then the team's screwed.
Mm-hmm.
That's just as important as the one who gets the ball into the end zone.
Yeah, Matt, for Holden Stays, like just his build, he reminds me of a Brock Bowers. So if we can get him developed a bit more on the throwing side, he can be a huge threat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the thing too with through at least in the opener against Navy with not one of our tight ends having a reception, I think that's just because we now have a quarterback who can look for these receivers who are open and not have to always go to the tight end as that safety valve. Which I'm not trashing anyone like Michael Mayer or Kyle Rudolph or any of our great tight ends in the past. I'm just saying you now have other options because you have a quarterback who is actually capable of making those plays. And I've said this before, nothing against Tyler Buckner, nothing against Drew Pine, but they were not the next level quarterbacks to be able had the ability to do that and see everything downfield. They got rushed too easy. They panicked easily. And we have a quarterback in Sam Hartman who doesn't do that, and he can get the ball out quick.
Mm-hmm.
So to everybody, because I saw it all last week too, people panicking about the tight ends not getting involved. And I'll just say this, a lot of the people on, the message boards and the Facebook groups, I've said this for a long time, sometimes those groups are where brain cells go to die. Because if those people were so right, then they'd be the ones on the sidelines calling the plays and whatnot and doing the coaching. But that's why they're on Facebook groups or message boards.
Yeah. I just stopped looking at message boards during the games. Like, it's not worth it.
Well, and like I said earlier, I have to because I help run one on Facebook, Notre Dame Nation, Fight of the Irish. We've actually had a surge in growth as of late, which I'm happy to see because it gives us. And the great thing about that is something like that gives all of us a platform to help, to help promote this and other things that we're doing. So, little things there. So that's where I think they do work out well, but that's not always the case. You see some really stupid people who say some stupid things, and I'm not trying to badmouth potential audience or anything, but it is what it is. It's calling a spade a spade. And the most critical ones of Notre Dame have been from our own fan base.
We love each. We're so great to other fan bases, but we're so hard on ourselves. That was
oh yeah, and it's it's just like I'll say this until I see otherwise. People are probably sick of it, but we're not helping ourselves out any better. It's one thing when you have people, not like what Ryan was talking about, but when you have the people that call themselves realists, the kind that basically are saying that we have no faith in our team. That's a big problem. But not just that, it's things like letting our stadium get taken over when a big game comes to town. And like I said, I'll say that until I see otherwise. Because Georgia 2017, Nebraska 2000 before that, even against Cincinnati, there was a little too much red. And the funny thing is, with other major programs like 2019, when we had the rematch against Georgia down in Athens, you didn't see that happening down there. No other major program do you see something like that happening. But we do. I'll never understand that. If you have an idea or a theory for that, I'd like to hear it, Will.
I think the prices might be a bit higher in Notre Dame. And people were mad at, I'm sure people were mad about Davey. People were mad at Kelly after 2016. I know people were because I watched that team and they're like, you know what? We're not going to go to the games. We're so mad at Brian Kelly that he's still our coach. We're just not going to go. I think that was what happened.
Yeah. And if that was the case, then that is so damn stupid. Because I went to a game in 2016 during the 4-8 season. And I sure as hell would not sell my ticket just because it was a bad year. And I wish the fans would just admit it. Just like, I'm greedy. I don't really care about the team. I just want to make money. But it's like, and if you're going to sell your ticket, why can't you at least sell it to another Notre Dame fan? That's what I've never understood. It's just hard for me to fathom. And I'm not trying to go on a rant about this because we're supposed to be talking about Tennessee State, but I just all I'm saying overall is our own fan base isn't helping itself out, and it doesn't apply to all of them. I would say it's like the 1% of the realists and the doom and gloomers.
I think of the Cincinnati game, they're really in just that one corner. It was still like 85% Notre Dame fans.
Right. I'm just saying there was a little too much red in there for that one.
Yeah.
But
I think people might have still been afraid of COVID back then. I don't know. Maybe that was it.
No, I mean it was just a year later, so you might
the drought there.
You might have a point. It was just a year later, so that's very relevant. But I guess I mean this is supposed to be about Tennessee State, but
sorry.
No. I wasn't. That wasn't towards you. I'm just saying we're all getting off track here. But I would say the only real thing for the most part that really had me nervous was just like different times with the defense and giving up way too much yardage to an FCS opponent. I mean, but I'm not. But at the same time, you're getting. Most of it was at the start of the game, and no matter who you're playing, it always takes you a little bit to get warmed up and get going.
Yeah,
and so I'm not going to just worry about that just yet because this is only the second game in. You knew you were going to win this one, but of course, those basic fundamentals that don't get followed or that you don't get executed. Excuse me. You don't like to see that. And especially when it's from guys that have been with the program for a while and, they shouldn't be making those kind of mistakes. Because at least, and if you have a different opinion, please tell me. But at least with Navy, it's understandable because it's always difficult and tricky to defend an option because you don't know what that offense is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at I'm looking at the stats, and their quarterback stats still look bad, but they did have some runs. I mean, I know we weren't playing a lot of the time we weren't playing our main guys, but for the guys that have been doing it in a while, it is frustrating. And we just got to clean this up against Ohio State. We cannot let them have these big chunk plays against us, especially on the ground. Like we got to make it stand. For sure.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're losing fumbles and whatnot, you can get away with it against a Tennessee, but you're not going to be able to get away with that against an Ohio State or a USC. And hell, you can't even get away with it against the trap teams like an NC State coming up next week or a Wake Forest or even a Duke. So it's like you got to have this stuff cleaned up before the big boys come in on your schedule.
Yeah.
And
the linebackers got to play well. They just got to get the job done for sure.
But you look at the overall stats, like when it comes to
it looks like we did a really good job stat wise, but there were definitely missed tackles.
Yeah, missed tackles and miscommunications. The line at times not missing blocks and stuff. I mean, you got to clean it up because the big boys are going to take advantage of it and they're going to make it hurt.
But I must say, the red zone defense does look better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They stepped up big time and, shut the Tigers down. They did the same thing against Navy last week. And, I guess that's why you play a couple of, I'm not going to say tune-up games because I don't want to be too disrespectful to Tennessee State. Because like I said, these are still coaches and players that are putting in the work like everybody else and trying to improve. But it's nice to not have a marquee matchup to start the season.
For sure.
So yeah. Trying to think of what else to add here.
Jason Onye with a big block. Definitely happy to see him doing well. Especially since one of our friends from the Discord, he's a Michigan fan, but he lives in the South Bend area. Gave him an Uber ride. Said he's a great guy. So,
okay,
to see him come through in the game for sure.
Well, and a couple other things too that I could add in here to everybody watching. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe tab to this channel. Make sure you hit that little bell icon so that way you know that whenever we go live here or wherever there's a video, you will get notified of it. Also, make sure you guys come and subscribe to Ben and I's channel, the Two Irish Brothers Show. We're pretty easy to find. Just look for the green shamrock with TIB in the middle of it. And we could use all the support that you guys can give us right now because both between our channel and here on the Voice of College Football Notre Dame, as well as the national channel, it's so far it's been a great partnership through 2 games, and this has been an awesome opportunity for us to get on here and talk some football with you guys. So it's always a lot of fun to talk football. I don't care if it's people trashing Notre Dame, talking good about Notre Dame. It's football season, baby. Probably the best time of the year right here.
For sure. Just can't wait for that Raleigh game to come. That game in Raleigh to come soon enough. I feel like I can't wait to see our running backs go against real D linemen, not trying to badmouth Tennessee State, but not the same level of competition.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's not the same level of competition. Despite how NC State did against UConn, which I'll have to go back and check that out. You never want to take an opponent lightly, and they have, given us the Wolfpack have given us fits before, like that one year when it was actually I think that was 2016 when it was the monsoon.
The monsoon. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was bad.
Yeah.
But that's just all you can do right now is, take it one step at a time, and just just play the best football that you can. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be distracted here, but wasn't sure if that was Ben or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, two games in the book. Notre Dame is 2-0, and it's better than what we were a year ago.
Mm-hmm. 2 games better, yeah.
And so far, no collapses, no Marshalls, no Stanfords, nothing like that, where I have to go on this crazy angry rant with raw emotion. I don't know if you saw that video, but I was pissed.
I bet you were. I wasn't happy either.
But really, though, you're just meeting Ben and I this year, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't mean any disrespect by this, but if you were the one that was doing the videos on this channel last year, I didn't know about you.
Yeah, I was just doing them. I mean, I was kind of just a fan that Mark needed a Notre Dame guy, so I just hopped in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so far it's been a pretty good partnership so far,
mm-hmm.
and so far through 2 games, I hope you've enjoyed myself, Ben, and Ryan. And
yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's hard. It was hard doing it by myself because I was like, it was just me. And then looking at the chat, I was like, okay, no message in the chat. What do I say? So it's a lot easier to do it with multiple people.
Well, I can tell you about that from experience, because up until 2020, I had my own channel. I was doing, previews and recaps and whatever I could on my own. And I've come to realize it is definitely a hell of a lot better when you have a co-host.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's just when you have somebody to talk with you and actually offer their insight and so on, it makes it go that much smoother.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to turn this into a YouTube video tutorial on how to make them or anything like that. It's just, insights that I think you guys might like to hear.
For sure.
But I would say that to anybody. But we are coming up on the hour mark. And Will, is there any projects that you're working on that you'd like to throw out there?
My personal life's been a little crazy right now, but I will try to make the After Dark show. I couldn't make it last week just because I was really exhausted with everything that was going on. But the After Dark show, for sure, I'll try to come on. And I'm a mod on Mark's, the main Voice of College Football channel, so I sometimes call in or just hang around and chat with other people that are involved with the channel and fans as well. A lot of Ohio State, Michigan people there, so we always poke and jab at each other. It's fun.
Oh yeah, I've been on other shows before too, and it's always a blast. And I definitely like it when there's no because unfortunately I've been on the shows too where there's like a lot of negativity and arguing, and myself if I argue, I'd rather it be in a funny way and
that's usually how it is. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, I don't think there's really much more to cover. I mean, it was Tennessee State. We were expected to dominate this game, which we did for the most part, aside from that first quarter. But everybody looked pretty good today. A few things that still need cleaning up, but that's why you got that's why there's 10 games left. You got plenty of time to get this stuff cleaned up before you start facing the meat of your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, Sam Harton hasn't disappointed. The running backs haven't disappointed, and
Just hoping Devin Ford's injury isn't too bad. For sure.
Yeah.
He's not in a position of need, which is good. But definitely hoping. Like if it was Xavier Watts, I would be like, oh no. But still hoping that everything goes well for him in his recovery and he can get back to playing soon.
Yeah, that defense, we need every bit of experience that is there right now because we can't afford to lose anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, with that said, everyone, just a little reminder, Ben and I on the Two Irish Brothers show, we have our pre-recorded previews that come out on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And so other than that, we post a few shorts throughout the week, both there and here. And then, after the game next week against NC State, right after the game or as soon as we possibly can, we will be live here on the Voice of College Football, Notre Dame. So I guess one thing before we decide to sign off, to everybody who's watching right now, if anybody has any comments or questions, we sure would like to hear them. And we will give you guys a few minutes to I don't know. What do you say, Will? 5 minutes to see if anybody wants to have leave a comment or a question?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 5 people watching as I just checked out the YouTube channel. But yeah, also I've been doing the previews with Buckeye Mike as well. I almost forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So Buckeye Mike, and I'm guessing that's the name of the channel.
Yeah. He might change. He might change his name. That's just Buckeye Mike. Yeah. It was one day ago. Me and him were talking. He posted it to his channel. We did a little 10-minute preview.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, everyone, don't forget our buddy Ryan, who was here earlier. He has his channel, Week Zero Productions, where he works with a couple of his friends that are fans of other teams. I know one was an Oregon fan, one is a Michigan fan, I believe. So he goes live all the time over there. So make sure you guys go check him out. And yeah, just again, in the next few minutes, if you have a question or a comment, we will be more than happy to answer it. And if none, then we will call it a show for this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just check out CFB After Dark. I should be able to make it this week, especially since I don't have work on Monday. I won't be as pressed on.
Yeah, and right now I'm over visiting some family of mine, and I got to give a special shout out on this video because I know it will be posted after live, of course, like most live streams are. My younger brother Wyatt is letting me use his computer system, his headphones, and allowed me to bring my webcam over, and that's because he wanted me to not have to go home to film the live show. So I thank him for that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm good friends with the guys on the USC postgame show, so feel free everyone to heckle them a little bit or just check in on the show. So it'll be funny.
Yeah.
Although USC has tightened up a bit, but yeah.
So yeah, what's going on with that game right now? Are they
it's
still?
It's 35-7 SC, but Nevada's picked to finish at the bottom of the Mountain West. So
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, since you mentioned that, what do you think about the announcement yesterday of Cal, Stanford, and SMU being voted in to join the ACC?
Well, it's kind of goofy. I mean, it should be called the All Coast Conference now, not the Atlantic Coast Conference. It just doesn't make sense why they're called that anymore. But hey, if it makes Jack Swarbrick happy, then good for it's good for Notre Dame.
Well, another name you could call it is the APCC, Atlantic Pacific Coast Conference.
Yeah.
So if the Pac-12 wasn't officially dead already, it is now.
Yeah, I just feel bad for the fans of the Beavers and the Cougs.
What do you think is going to happen with them?
I think they're probably going to go to the Mountain West.
Mountain West.
Maybe the Mountain West will rename themselves to the Pac-12 now. We'll see. To try to keep the brand still strong. Because the Mountain West is probably the strongest over. Well, the American and the Mountain West are definitely the two strongest conferences in the group of 5.
Yeah, that definitely. And you got to give the Sun Belt some credit too, because they've,
Sun Belt had a good year last year. Yeah.
And they added a bunch of teams. Like aside from Marshall, they added Southern Miss and
JMU.
Yeah, they basically cut apart Conference USA for the most part.
Yeah, I know Liberty's in the Conference USA. I can't think of any other teams.
I think didn't Sam Houston State jump up to the FBS level?
Yeah,
I'm thinking Sam Houston State was one.
Yeah.
But all I know is that would probably be their best bet with the Cougs and the Beavers would be to join the Mountain West, because I don't know how well it would work out for them if they went independent.
Yeah, I don't think it would be too well. Usually the teams now that are independent, besides Army and Notre Dame, they're trying to join conferences as fast as possible.
You know what I always thought would work is Army joining the American. So
that's what I'm hearing. That might happen now since SMU left the American to join the ACC.
Well, I mean, I know the American said they had a contingency plan, but
we have Golden Playbook popped in. What's up, Golden Playbook?
Yeah, we're calling it quits pretty short here, buddy. But if you have any questions or comments,
here's a question. Yeah, for sure.
But like just what to finish saying here real quick, that would be very, very interesting. The American said they had a contingency plan for that, but that would be really interesting if they added Army and that Army Navy game was a conference game.
Yeah, what if it was a spot in the championship game? That would make it really exciting.
Exactly, that too. Mm-hmm. That would be insane if that happened, but it just depends if they would like that or not.
Yeah, my uncle's like a big Navy fan, so we went one time to Keenan Reynolds' last game, the Military Bowl against Pitt. That was a lot of fun.
I forget who won that one.
Navy won that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I will say this about Navy. Ken Niumatalolo, when he was still their head coach, he was one of the trickiest bastards of a coach I ever saw. But he was able to build that team up. And
when they had a quarterback, they were really good. Like Ricky Dobbs, Keenan Reynolds. I forgot who the guy was in 2019 when they had a strong team. Who was the quarterback of that team? Those 3 quarterbacks were very strong.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about, but I'm blanking on his name right now.
I'm bringing it up. Malcolm Perry.
Okay, that somewhat rings a bell.
Yeah.
But no, the amount of success that they had under him was nuts.
I always root for the service academies when we're not playing them.
And Golden Playbook here says, "What a win! Woo! I knew it was a cupcake, but that was great. That's what you're supposed to do against a bad opponent. I know it will get tough, but man, that was awesome. IE.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's kind of what we were saying at the beginning, for sure.
Yeah, because again, it's just we can't forget that this was an FCS opponent. Mm-hmm. The tougher competition is coming. I can't say that enough because that's just. I may sound like a broken record, but you have to keep yourself grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Because the big boys are coming, and it's not going to be the same thing, obviously. Yeah. So, all right. Well, Will, I think that is a good stopping point for this week's post game. We can't thank everybody enough for coming to watch who did. And remember, hit that subscribe tab. Let's make it our next goal that the Voice of College Football Notre Dame hits 2,000 subscribers. So everybody who's still watching right now, hit that subscribe tab. If you haven't, pass this on to your friends, and let's get this channel going, baby.
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad to be a part of this. I know Ben is too, and he'd say the same thing if he was here right now. So let's make it happen. Let's grow this thing. So on that note, I am Sean Moriarty.
I'm Will N.D.
And as we always say, good night, God bless, and go Irish.
Amen.